Hey guys, welcome to this video, and as you can see by the title, well, you don't see a lot by the title, but today I went to a Star Wars convention, Festival of the Force in York, and I met a couple of people and asked them if I could interview them. It's a real dream come true, this. I absolutely loved it, and they were all so lovely. I also filmed a bit of other people's speeches that they made about some of their time on Star Wars. So I am gonna put them on here. So I hope you enjoy. Please smash the like button and subscribe if you do enjoy. I'll see you soon. Enjoy. So the first one you're about to see is a speech by Lynn Robertson Bruce, who does the puppeteering for the droid, the little green droid in The Rise of Skywalker. So I hope you enjoy your speech.
All about all kinds of stuff that you've been involved with, but the first thing I want to ask about is, and I just pointed at the picture as we were walking through the crowd, Andor. Who here has seen season 2 of Andor? Okay, so you may be aware of a little character in a wheelchair in a hospital that looks a little bit like E.T., who was just hilarious. Lynn, you were involved in that character.
Yeah, so some of you may well know, there were 3 grannies in Andor 1. They were in the background. We were shot at Blackpool on a prom in the pouring rain. So I was involved in one of those grannies, and they decided that they hadn't really had enough recognition for who they were as characters, so they brought one back in Andor 2. Now actually, I wasn't cast as one of the 2 puppeteers that was doing the granny, but as fate would have it, the puppeteer that was fell ill, and therefore I was asked in. So she's on a wheelchair, literally as I'm sitting here, but there's a hole in the back of the wheelchair. There's a tiny skateboard on the back of the wheelchair. Can I get up and demo?
Absolutely.
So basically, I'm here, and my arm goes up as high as possible in her head to operate her. And the actress, I had to be as close to the chair as was physically possible. It was pretty uncomfortable. But she had to push the wheelchair and the puppet and me. Wow. So she had quite a difficult job. And then there was another puppeteer, Wimbu, who was on the face and gave her a voice. And the 2 of us I could hear her in my ear, and we just worked together and hopefully brought a very sweet character to life.
You really did, because you only see her for a couple of scenes, but you kind of feel, especially when she gets dumped, when Claire's off doing her thing, you kind of feel for her, because you mentioned your fellow puppeteer fell ill. It's kind of ironic, she would have played, or he would have played a character that's in a hospital. But one connection, you mentioned season 1, and there's that on Neamos, and there's that music that's associated with Neamos, and then there's the scene when your character, has she got a name?
No, I think she's just called Granny.
Granny's good for me.
There's grannies even in Star Wars.
There is, and in the lift you can hear the music from Neamos playing like lift music.
You're right.
So this next one is a speech by Paul Blake, who I also got a photo with that I'll put right here. He was a real genuine lovely guy. I hope you enjoy.
Well, I'm upright and breathing, as is always can be expected, I hope, at this time of the day, but very well other than that. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I've got a room full of people and a Star Wars guest to talk to, so I'm happy.
Fantastic.
You've been doing events and conventions and such signings for a long, long time.
Since I was a child, yes.
Pretty much. Have you ever done an event in York before?
Some of you might contradict me. I don't think I have, actually. It's certainly a beautiful city. I think I have been to York before, but I don't think I've done an event as such here before.
Yeah. You're well travelled. I mean, globally, obviously galactically as well, but globally well travelled with events. Where, not to say that York isn't the greatest place you've ever been, but what, in your estimation so far, was the one place you go, I'm so glad Star Wars took me there?
Well, the one place I wouldn't go is tattooing again, because I seem to die every time I go there. So it's one of the places I really wouldn't go. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we've been so lucky with all the conventions worldwide over the last 45 years we've been doing this for. And occasionally my wife will come with me. I don't know why she didn't come to York, actually, because she loves York. Hawaii she came to. I don't know why. Hawaii seemed a good place to go. Bradford she didn't come to. I don't know. Again, I have no reason to know why she didn't come. But yeah, I mean, we've been so lucky. And the interesting thing, I mean, this sounds a bit creepy, but fans worldwide are pretty wonderful. It's always charming to meet you guys, and you say such delightful things to us, which is wonderful for us, and then you give us money. So what is not to like about doing conventions for the last 45 years?
Very true, very true. When you were offered the role back in the day, what was a young Paul Blake up to at that time?
I was desperate for any job, I think. I was working, I got the job through Anthony Daniels, who was C-3PO, and we were working together on a thing for the BBC, which some of you, you're all too young in this audience, but some of you might remember Jack and Ori, the kids' TV series, and we were doing a Christmas special of Jack and Ori, and when we finished the show, he rang me up at home about 2 or 3 weeks later and said, I'm doing this movie. And the director said, do I know any really, really cheap actors? And I said, I'm your man. So it's Anthony I've got to thank for...
So this next speech is by a guy called Brian Herring, who I also interviewed, and I'll show that later on. Well, I'll probably show it straight after this. So I hope you enjoy his speech. And then the next bit is my interviews, which is very exciting. So yeah.
How are you? I'm good. Are we all right? Yeah. Are we having a lovely day? Yeah. Come on, I know you're out there, I can hear you breathing. Are we having a lovely day? Yeah. Hey, well done.
Not many empty seats, which I like.
That's nice.
How's the day treating you so far?
It's very nice. This is my second Festival of the Force. And yes, it's as nice as the first one. There's lots of lovely people out there all coming by and having a chat.
I asked Paul Blake a minute ago whether he'd ever done a show in York, and he didn't think he had. Have you?
I think I may have done. A little while ago, I think I did one of the Monopoly ones, one of those smaller regional shows a while ago, but I don't remember. A lot of them blur into one.
I was going to say, I mean, you get out around, I mean, obviously you're working in the industry and you're doing stuff there, but then when you get the opportunity, you go, I know you're in France recently, you're in Belgium recently.
Yes. I do all the international ones, you see. No, it's nice. It's nice, always nice to come out, and I used to come along to these before I started attending these. So I love a Comic-Con, and I particularly like a Star Wars Comic-Con. So I get it.
Where did your Star Wars journey start? What was the thing that got you hooked from the beginning?
1977 Christmas. My dad took me and my brother to see it in Harlow, and my life was never quite the same. It was I was obsessed. I was that kid. I was 7 years old. Saw the first one. I think I slept through the last 20 minutes because I was tiny and we had to go to a late show because we had to queue up to get in. Yeah. There was none of this pre-booking malarkey, and I was just obsessed. As I said, you know, I mean, this shirt looks like the curtains I had as a kid. So I had the curtains and the bedspread and the slippers and the toy. I've still got all my toys. I had a school report go home when I was 10. That said Brian's obsession with Star Wars will lead him nowhere and he should concentrate on his academic studies, which was good advice but turned out not to be true. So I was absolutely obsessed with it from day one, and I knew about the editors and who Ralph McQuarrie was and who, you know, Kenny Baker and Anthony Daniels were and all the stuff, and just kind of was just absolutely full on.
By the way, kids, work hard at school. We're not saying don't.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious, yeah. Don't pay any attention to that. But so I've always been a fan.
So when you get into the industry, we'll come back to that in a minute, but when you get into the industry and you do all the things you've done, you get to the point where you're at the level where you're on the radar of the kind of people who are pulling together a Star Wars project, and then you get the call.
Well, yeah.
This is me interviewing Brian Herring, who does the green screen stuff for BB-8. He controls him, and it was really made the big idea behind BB-8, and he was an awesome guy, so I hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
Right, we're back and we're here with
Brian Herring.
I'm just going to ask him a few questions about Star Wars. So what was it like being on set of all of the sequels?
Well, the best thing about doing a Star Wars film is that you're doing a Star Wars film. I mean, it was extremely exciting. I was a big fan of Star Wars as a kid. So in the 70s, when it first came out, I was 7 years old. So it absolutely blew my mind. And it's a very interesting thing to be involved in, especially when you're in a film with Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and I got to meet Harrison and Mark and Carrie, Chewbacca, Anthony Daniels. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
What was it like having the script of this new Star Wars film, of a new trilogy?
Well, I never had a script. I read the script, but I was never allowed to take it away. So I had to read it. We made notes, myself and Dave Chapman, who's the other BB-8 puppeteer. We made notes, we worked out what we'd have to do, and so we worked to our notes, really. And we get given the script every day of our scene, and then we'd have to give that script back. So yeah, I never actually had a copy.
What was it like? What was your reaction to getting, knowing that you were going to be in this Star Wars film?
It was brilliant. I mean, I was there for quite a long time. So I was there as a consultant for puppetry initially, and then when BB-8 came into my life, we didn't know how much it would be in the film, and then we read the script and suddenly realised it was in it all the way through. And so that was it was kind of, we were a bit shocked, but it was a lot of fun to do, and we just tried to do our best.
What's your favourite Star Wars film?
My favourite Star Wars film personally is The Empire Strikes Back, and I think that's because of when I saw it, and also because it's the best one.
Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
This is me interviewing Guy Henry, who is best known for Holby City, but I am interviewing him about his time on Rogue One and portraying Peter Cushing's character, Grand Moff Tarkin. So yeah, I hope you enjoy that one. So today we're here with
Guy Henry.
And I'm just going to ask him a few questions about what it was like being on Star Wars. So first off, what was it like to get the call to say you're going to be this character?
Well, it was very daunting. In fact, when I was called up by my agent, she said, it's very secret, I'm not sure what it is, but they want to meet you, it's very, very secret. And they took me to the most public sort of theatre-type television film watering hole in London, so it wasn't that secret. There we were. But I was a great fan of Peter Cushing as an actor, so it was quite daunting to try to do him justice, really.
So we know you had to wear the head stuff for the motion capture. Was that physically restraining when you were trying to act?
I think you put that very well. Yes, it is. I mean, it's very, very tight, and it digs into your head, and you can't forget your acting with the little lenses and lights in front of you, and it was very weird, but I got used to it.
So, also, what was it like on set with everyone else and on Rogue One?
Funnily enough, quite a lot of the crew, the camera people, sound men and all that, I'd worked with a lot of them on other projects, even Holby City, where I played Mr. Hanson for years in particular. So, in a way, it was no different, really. But great big studios, sets at Pinewood. Yeah. Exciting.
Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
So, this interview is with Alistair Petrie, who is best known for Sex Education. He plays Adam Groff's dad, and he's the head teacher. He's also known for things like The Night Manager, and I interviewed him about Rogue One, so I hope you enjoy that interview. Today we're here with
Alistair Petrie.
And I'm just going to ask him a few questions about Star Wars and acting. So first off, what was it like on set of Rogue One? You were in Rogue One, weren't you?
Yeah, Rogue
What was it
One,
like
and
on
then Andor?
Andor
season 2. It was the biggest movie set I'd ever been on, and what was so brilliant about Rogue One is that the ambition was to do as little special effects as possible. And to do everything through the camera, because I think audiences are so smart now and they can sort of see special effects a mile off, and it's much more thrilling, obviously, as an actor, to work within a real, or as real environment as they can make it. So they built these enormous sets. So as an actor playing a character, to immerse yourself in those sets was, well, it was a privilege.
I imagine. So I imagine you had to audition for this role. What was it like getting the call to say you've got the role in a Star Wars?
I did not have to audition.
Oh.
No, I was lucky. I got a call from Gina J, who was the casting director on Rogue One, and she phoned my agent. My agent phoned me and said, Gareth Edwards would like you to be in his Star Wars film, which sort of made me fall off my sofa. And I was so excited about it, I didn't even ask what the part was. I just said yes, because you would. You know, if the Star Wars call comes, you just say yes. So I just said yes immediately, and beyond that, I didn't care. I just knew that I was going to be in a Star Wars film, and that, from that point, was good enough for me.
Yeah. My final question is, what is acting to you? What do you love about it so much?
I always knew I wanted to do it. And there's been so many versions of sort of why people want to be an actor. I think in many reasons, I still, it's a question I still can't quite answer. But I think you get to explore sort of the human condition. You get to put yourselves in other people's shoes, and especially if they're well written and they tell an amazing story. And drama at its best holds a mirror up to all of us and tells us something about ourselves and how we fit into the world and the world itself. And so that's a broader point about telling stories. So I like to be part of an ensemble telling an important story that means something to people. And what's so magnificent about being in the sort of Star Wars universe is that I don't think anything else does it better than that.
Thank you for your time.
That's such a pleasure. Good luck.
Thank you guys for watching this video. It was honestly an honour to interview these people. And it's a massive step for this channel, which I really enjoy. And I hope I get to do it again with someone. But yeah. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. The next 2 uploads are scheduled if you want to check my YouTube channel for them. They should be releasing next Thursday and then the Thursday after. So yeah, goodbye.